Hi, welcome. I am Safiya-Mae Lewis.
And I'm Sara-Jane Skeet.
And you are joining us on the BTMTalks, which is Behind the Music podcast. Today, we are excited and fortunate to have the incredible Dre Davis joining us, who usually would be somewhere in the world. So welcome, Dre. Welcome to BTM.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
For those people who obviously live under a rock or are not really familiar with the kind of behind the scenes of the industry, who are you, what do you do, and who are some of the kind of people that you've worked with?
My name is Dre Davis. I am from Chicago and been tour managing for over 20 years. I've had the pleasure of working with a lot of different artists, mainly female artists, because I think God has given me the ability or the gift to deal with, I won't necessarily say difficult, but interesting, and pleasant sometimes female artists. So we're talking the likes of Keyshia Cole, K. Michelle, Estelle, Brandy, Blue Cantrell, the list goes on and on. So as far as my female clients, and some of my male clients have included Ro James, Tyrese, The Dream, my favorite guys, Bone Thugs and Harmony. Next, my guy RL, a couple of rappers, G Herbo, Polo G. So
You've not done much then. You've not been up to much.
Yeah. I mean,
just a little bit of work.
And what was your kind of introduction into the entertainment industry? What's your backstory?
So how it got started, one of my best friends, his name was Sean Hall. We went to church together in Chicago. So what he ended up doing, and I had no idea, but his cousin is Tricky Stewart, who's a amazing producer. And Tricky ended up hiring me at the studio in Atlanta when I was going to Southern University.
Was that Red Zone?
Yes, good old Red Zone.
Oh, Red Zone.
Yeah, so that's where my DNA comes from. That's where the blood of kind of how everything flowed outward from there. So from the 1410 building, that's what we called it. That's kind of where my music career began. So so to backtrack, Tricky hired me at the studio. I was studio manager fairly quickly, moved my way through the ranks. Wrote a couple of songs that went number one. It was called Who Dat with JT Money. So we wrote that one, sold a lot of records, but songwriting really wasn't my thing, or producing. So more being on the road and, kind of getting into that world interested me a lot more. So Sam Salter was our first artist. He was the first guy that I ever tour managed or road managed for. And since that day, it was just kind of like, all right, this is what I want to do. This is what's going to keep everything pushing and moving for me. So went from Sam Salter to Soleil, who was also at Red Zone, and then into Blue Cantrell. And then from there, it just kind of took off.
That's amazing. Once you get that kind of bug, that's it.
Yeah.
You're kind of hooked in, huh?
It was over. It's like, to be able to travel the world, get paid, you know what I mean? All over the world. Because just coming from where I grew up, that was just kind of not something that people actually, did. It was like, okay, you're going to find a trade, and you're going to raise your family here. And it was kind of like, that's not what I want to do. I feel like God has bigger things in store for me.
What would you say some of the qualities you have that make you a great tour manager?
I get asked that question a lot, and the best way to answer that is to say you have to, number one, be really organized, but at the same time, you have to know how to make adjustments under pressure fairly quickly. And not only make them quick, but make sure that the decisions are right. When you're on the road, it's something different every single day. You're dealing with new personalities, new people every single day. So it's really important to be able to know how to pivot quickly into different situations. So, if you're, as long as I've been tour managing and other tour managers alike, you know, we know the right people to call. We know the right place to make in certain places. You know, safety is super, super important. So just knowing like the right police officers in certain markets, like you have to really just be aware, because an artist isn't thinking about that. A drummer is not thinking about that. So you really have to be that person that kind of understands and knows the road.
Yeah, we were saying yesterday on a previous interview about how much people on the road depend on the tour manager, and just how important you are. Literally, you're like the father looking after, because a lot of the time, bands, musicians, they can be irresponsible. We can be like kids running around.
Sarah, who is part of a band, and the background singer, so she is corporate.
I mean, yeah, I look and I admire, and I'm like, ooh, that looks it's like hard work today.
So as much as you guys know about tour management, like, could either one of you like run that? Could you guys be tour managers? You know,
yeah, I have been a tour manager.
That has actually,
and I'm an events producer, and obviously I used to work for record companies for about 15 years, hence why I know Tricky, as soon as you said Tricky. I used to work for Def Jam, I've worked at Arista, The Face, Warner's in LA, so I used to work at Electra. Sorry?
Worked at Laface?
Yes, Laface. I was at Laface in the late 1990s, so that's where I first met Tyrese.
Yeah.
First met Greg, and here we are 20 years later. So it's been an interesting journey. So from doing kind of promo trips with you types of kind of artists, tour personnel coming over to the country and taking you guys on European tour, it was kind of interesting for me being the promo person at the label and then working with a tour manager for an artist on the road, and just how similar our roles were in a lot of ways.
I so relied on the label, you know, having an amazing person at the label to kind of help navigate that information is so critical. Nothing gets on my nerves more than is when we're out and I have no idea what we're doing. So I have to kind of, you know, kill time, or, you know, just kind of make up something in order to just kind of keep people satisfied for the moment, which can be pretty exhausting, you know, at the same time. So kudos to people like you at the labels that always held it down for me. And
We try.
Yeah.
So what has, I mean, obviously it's going to be a topic that gets talked about for quite a long time, but obviously COVID-19, the different various states of quarantine that we're all going through around the world, and how it's affecting our industry, basically. So when was the last time you were on the road, and what does life look like moving forward?
It's pretty depressing. Okay, let me not say depressing. I think it's more so divine intervention, and I'll explain it the best way that I can. So I'll start from the beginning. We were on tour. We were on the G Herbo, the G Herbo. I can't think of the name of it right now, but we were on tour with him, and we heard about COVID happening, and, you know, we were just kind of like, we're just going to push through and at least get done with the tour. So, you know, we were in New York, and then every day that was going by, like, we were working our way from New York down to, let's just say, Atlanta. So I think we were about 10 shows in, and then it was just getting bad. And, you know, liability was becoming more of an issue and a problem, because, you know, if we're on the road and someone gets it, there was no COVID insurance at the time. So, you know, and it just seemed kind of insensitive, you know, if you're touring while there's some sort of a pandemic happening. So the label head at Machine Entertainment, Joseph Bowden, decided to pull the plug on the tour. And the day that he pulled the plug, it was actually kind of like understood within the industry with Live Nation that we were going to shut down. So we shut down in New Orleans, and everyone goes home. And then from there, it's really been refreshing to not be on the road. You know, to spend more time with your family. My son just turned 1. You know, been married for 2 years now. So it's kind of like I've been gone and hustling and moving and, you know, doing everything on a daily basis. So to now be home is like amazing, because it's like I never really understood how to do that. I've been doing this 20 years, you know what I mean? So by the time you really sit down to smell the roses and to kind of look around and see, it has it's been an eye opener, you know, to me, just wanting to improve myself overall as a man. But then moving on to the finances, obviously, you know, that's a big damper, especially in the touring business for a lot of people on the production side. All of my peers on the production side, all of my peers in bands, I care about them. And I know that it's really hard on them. So I don't want to count people's pockets because I have no idea, but, you know, I know there are a lot of people struggling. So for me, I'm just trying to figure out ways to help them, you know, in any way that I can to you know, keep them afloat as best as possible. On the horizon, I'm hearing we're probably not going to tour for a while. And even if we do start picking up, I believe your Beyonce's, your Rihanna's, your J. Cole's, they're going to soak up so much of your Futures and Drake's. They're going to take all of that first lump. You know what I mean? So everyone else is going to have to wait. And then, you know, eventually, you know, I'm thinking maybe 2022 we'll probably get back to normal. But the way this thing is moving, it's just very, you know, it's very sad. But I think, you know, we just, as human beings, just needed this time to relax and connect and to get back to family and to get back to, okay, reset, you know, and let's just figure out a different and a better way. Because I don't know how you guys do, but we've been going every day. It's just like something to do. And, you know, just to be able to take that time and just relax and chill and water your grass and, you know, just do things is pretty cool.
Yeah, because how you because Sarah was in Australia when she was about
when it all kicked off
and was supposed to be en route to Las Vegas to start a residency. And it's been what 3-4 months now. So what has life been like?
It's been like 4 months now. Yeah. But I think it's that it is like you said, that thing of trying to get back into doing, because when you're away so much, I think you don't have a routine at home, because when you are at home, you are so happy to be home, see people, see your family, see everyone, that you kind of don't ever get yourself into a home routine because you're kind of trying to catch up on stuff. So I think this is the first time in a long time for me that I've actually got into a bit of a routine and started to actually be like, okay, I do this, and then which is, you kind of need it, because I think when you're on the road, especially, I guess you being a tour manager, you know, schedule. And I think that's why a lot of musicians and people, when you come off of tour and you get home, you fall into that weird place, because you're like, no one's telling me what to do today. Like, where's my day sheet? Where should I be? So I think it's really been nice to kind of make your own schedule at home. But I don't know how you're finding it. Are you giving the family day sheets? Are you like making schedules still?
You know what's so funny is that my wife, she gets frustrated with me because I am so used to a schedule, and she'll just say something and I'm just kind of like, all right, like, you know, but if it's not written down, if it's not like, you know, space it out, you just can't throw something at me. Like, I kind of need to prep my entire day. And we're fighting through that. But yeah, you're absolutely right. When you have that type of routine, it just kind of gives you a lot of comfort in knowing, okay, this is where I need to be. This is what needs to happen. Here's the time it needs to happen. So to try to, you know, I mean, I think it could really be cool for everyday life. You know what I mean? If people kind of understood what that meant to us, to really go through that, I think it would, you know, prevent a lot of arguments and misunderstandings. But, we can't force that on people because, they have their own lives. And we have real jobs. So we're like, all right, whatever that means. They can't really follow that. But one other thing I kind of wanted to add is that one of the things that I've always wanted to try to do was get with one artist, one major artist that's like, okay, this is my only focus is on you and the team that we have. But I've been blessed to always be working with multiple artists, I'm saying, at once. So if you can imagine Monday getting all this information on one particular artist, and if you're working with 7 or 8, by Tuesday or Wednesday, you're getting another flood of, information that needs to be disseminated out. So that's why I started Blue Alley Touring. It's more of an umbrella company. I got the idea from Tricky, but it's an umbrella company to where I don't have employees, but I'm teaching, guys how to be tour managers, how to be road managers, how to be production managers. And then I'm able to push off some of that workload to them to empower them to, understand the business of touring. A lot of these new acts, hire their brother or their, mom or whatever. Nothing's wrong with that. But if they understood what it really takes, it could be ran way more efficiently, probably save a lot more money, look way more professional because we kind of understand how to walk into a building and put a show on, from beginning to end and tour in a way that it just makes sense all the way around. But getting back to the first part, of being exhausted, if I'm doing 2 or 3 acts at one time, everyone has shows, by the time I get home, by the time Monday hits, Tuesday, Wednesday, you're prepping, Thursday, you're packing, Friday, you're flying, Friday night show, Saturday show, Sunday show, flying home Monday morning to repeat that same cycle again. So, even when I've been home, I really haven't been home. What I mean? It's like you're just working. So just from my perspective, that's just how my life and how my business runs. But I know there are a lot of other tour managers that don't work that hard, and they're amazing and they're excellent at what they do. So I'm always interested to learn new and different ways to be more efficient, so I can just have more time at home. But now I have all the time at home. So.
Would you consider yourself to be a perfectionist?
I would say, you know what? I definitely like to be as perfect as I could possibly be. And it really depends on the artist that I'm working with, because a lot of artists give you a lot of leeway, and a lot of artists don't. So you really got to know the room that you're in and who you're dealing with, because, one artist may be totally cool with something and another artist might freaking bite your head off. So, I try to be a perfectionist, but I have to balance that because sometimes I can't sit up here and act like I'm perfect. I make mistakes too. So, but ultimately, they keep me around, so I must be doing something right.
20 years, still here. And also just having the ecosystem and the mindset to want to kind of teach one with the next generation of people who are going to eventually take over from you in the business. So I think it's great that you have that mindset to kind of reach back down and bring people up. So I think more of that needs to happen, especially in these types of sectors, because I think a lot of people get stuck on the entertainment industry being an artist, a music producer, a record company, a manager, and that's it. That's all they see. That's all the careers they think they can have. But I think what we're trying to do with Behind the Music is really just show people insights of other key roles and incredible things and places and traveling the world and experiences you can have by being this background personnel that you would probably never have seen. There's probably very few pictures of you online. Googling you will prove nothing, but without you, the machine doesn't function. So it's great that you're teaching one.
Thank you. And one thing that I would encourage, if there are any artists listening to this, or what you just kind of mentioned, it is a thankless job, but a thank you sometimes really goes a long way. It could be just a little bit, oh man, really appreciate that. I will do it a gazillion times better the next time, just for that little. Oh, man, I appreciate that. Versus, well, that's your job. It's what you're supposed to do. Like, nah, it's really not like that. Like, I'm a human being just like you, so we're breathing the same air. So let's understand we're here together, and we're here to win as a team. So, but anyway, that's just me ranting.
What is the craziest or most demanding job you've had to do on the road? You don't have to name an artist, but what is the most demanding request that you've had on the road?
Man, can you ask that question in a different way? Just so I can make sure I'm answering it the right way.
I'll give you an example of something that happened to me. There was a blackout in New York. I think it was 2002. Mm-hmm. And an exec I was working for was in New York. I was in LA. And there's a blackout. The airports are closed. Everything is closed. It's a blackout. Nothing's happening. And he wanted to come back to LA. And he wanted to come back now. There's a blackout. Can't help you. We're all in the same boat. Mm-hmm. By the next day, things were easing up a little bit. Flights were moving. But there's a backlog. There's, thousands of people who didn't get to travel the day before. Few contacts, contacted the travel agent, spoke to someone at the airline that we knew, managed to get someone bumped out of their seat, got him on the flight. Mm-hmm. He came home. The first thing he said when he landed, why didn't you do this yesterday?
Yeah, I hate those type of people.
Wow.
you probably didn't get any sleep at all.
Did not sleep.
You probably
a day and a half. No.
You probably worked on that, used your connections,
Told my unborn child. I've given my child to someone. When the baby comes, the baby's going to someone at Delta Airlines because I sold myself.
Wow. Yeah. It's been so many scenarios like that. And I'm trying to think of one that comes to mind because the only thing that has kind of really happened to me has been kind of like weird stuff. Like I can't believe that happened. Like weird, like, man, just thinking about weird stuff. Well, you know what? I'll tell this story because this is probably one of the weirdest, most embarrassing, still almost pulled it off, but didn't, stories that I'll tell. I won't mention names, but people may figure it out. There was a show in Houston, Texas, and my artist refused to perform. And I called him, I called his management, and did everything I possibly could to get him to come and do the show, but it was not happening at all. So for a tour manager and for all of that, like people, like they look at the tour manager, like the promoters or, especially people at Live Nation or AEG, like they're looking at the tour manager like, okay, this is your ship. What are you doing? You can't keep your artist under control, blah, blah, blah. So ultimately, I had a great relationship with the promoter. We talked about it, and I said, look, I'm gonna do everything in my power to get him here. And I was successful in getting him on the plane. I don't know what happened. Caught a private jet, booked a jet, got him on the plane, got him down, to Houston. And I promise you, I didn't see this one coming, but when I'm thinking the artist is on stage performing, it is not the artist performing. It is supposedly they turn all the lights down. The artist is on the side of the stage with the mic singing, but there's someone else totally different on stage singing the show.
Sounds like a Wu-Tang Clan blueprint.
Wow.
And when I tell you, like, I was never like so embarrassed in my life, and it was just very tasteless, and it just made me feel some type of way, because I kind of really respect like what musicians do, and when your fans come out to see you perform, like they're getting babysitters, they're like taking off of work, they're like really excited to come, they spend their money to see a show, and for someone to do something like that, and I had a brief conversation with the artist about it, and I'm pretty sure now they get it. But, back then, I think it was just a bad misjudgment to do something like that. But that's probably one of the craziest things I had to deal with, because ultimately we didn't get paid that night. And, it was just embarrassing.
Because of that, they didn't pay.
Yeah, definitely. It's like, that's not the artist on stage right now.
Wow. And did any of the audience know?
Yeah, they kind of figured it out. You know what I'm saying? Some did know, some didn't know. Like, it was all. So let me tell you the crazy part. I could have helped.
That's not the crazy part.
I could have helped them pull it off. Like, had I known the play, let your tour manager know the play. Had I known the play, I could have helped pull it off. Like, if that's what you wanted to, I could have helped make it what it needed to be. Like, I could have put up roadblocks. I could have made it. Like, I would talk to the lighting person, like, yo, do this. This is what we're gonna do. Dancers, I need all of you guys. Like, I mean, it could have worked, but they just went about it the wrong way. So,
I mean, I think the only person that springs to mind that could possibly get away with that is maybe Sia, because he has like the hair, But I cannot imagine.
Yeah.
Imagine somebody really thinking they could get away with that.
No, Sia is the smartest to me, because when do you really know it's ever her? You know what I mean? Like, Sia could really be chilling. Somebody's out there just, face covered, and, you got your Pro Tools hooked up with your, with your ducking system, and everything is just like, you never know. And that is like the smartest artist ever, in my opinion. I mean,
it obviously wasn't Sia, so they obviously knew.
Yeah, this wasn't Sia. No, this was not Sia at all. No.
Wow, that's crazy.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Let's talk.